The American dream is a shopping mall.
As I grow older and more honest, my dreams become much more modest. What's happening to me? What's happening to my dreams? Ever-growing list of responsibilities, preparing, saving for the inevitability, the reality of responsible mortality. Imperfections of affection to me, a lot more American than a school shooting. High capacity magazines, on summer clearance sale annually. We'll sell our lives, sell our beliefs. After all, we're living the American dream. The American dream is a shopping mall. As nothing goes according to plan, we'll crowdsource our health insurance, no retirement. We'll watch the news as entertainment. 24-hour coverage of tragedies, our background noise, our conversation piece. We'll be content with content. Imperfections of affection to me, our lives more American than a school shooting. High capacity magazines, on summer clearance sale annually. We'll sell our lives, sell our beliefs. After all, we're living the American dream. The American dream, shopping mall. The American dream. The American dream. Yes, the American dream. The American dream. Yes, the American dream. The American dream. Yes, the American dream. The American dream is a shopping mall. Shopping
in the immediate aftermath of 9/11. We did some things that were wrong. We did a whole lot of things that were right.
We've taken control of the oil in the Middle East, the oil that we're talking about.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create.
We choose truth over facts.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. The foothills of the Himalayas.
Television is what people are saying.
We are fighting Satan himself.
Journalists, ask them the questions! Ask them! Ask them! Ask them!
Agreed that everybody, once they inside, they should. Anyway, my time's up. America's dead.
Shit. Okay. Thanks for that, gamer. All right. There we go. Happy Monday night, folks. Thanks for that. Okay. Appreciate that. Colin's in here. Gamer's in here. Hold on. All right. Let me make sure. It's definitely working now, right? It probably is. Either way. That's a common StreamYard or restream thing. Anyway, welcome to another edition of whatever this is, politically homeless crab, I guess. Listen, there was some shit that a lot of stuff happening over the weekend, but there was definitely some shit that I wanted to talk about. Some, first of all, and we got to get to this shooting because I mean, this is like every single symptom of a plant that you could possibly ever imagine, and I just want to make it so obvious. Watch this.
Tonight, chilling new details about the shooter at Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church in Houston, where gunfire Sunday sent members running for cover.
They were repetitive, boom, 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 and I yelled, "Mom!"
Police identified the shooter as 36-year-old Genesee Yvonne Moreno and say she was carrying an AR-15 with the word Palestine written on it. Police said they also found anti-Semitic writings during a recent search warrant.
We have uncovered some items. We do have some anti-Semitic writings that we have uncovered during this process. But like I said, we are 24 hours into it.
Investigators say a dispute between Moreno and her ex-husband's family, some of whom are Jewish, may be related to the shooting. At the church, witnesses say the shooter was wearing a trench coat and opened fire almost immediately after walking inside.
The first thing that I thought that I was like, I need to hold my kids really hard, and I thought that I maybe will die after that.
Police confirming Moreno entered the church with her 7-year-old son and was armed with multiple weapons and ammunition. 2 off-duty officers returning fire, killing the shooter. Her son critically injured in the crossfire.
They held their ground in the face of rifle fire at point-blank range. And they continued to fire until the perpetrator was neutralized, and they did not yield.
Law enforcement records show the shooter had at least 6 prior arrests since 2005, including unlawful carrying of a weapon, which she pleaded guilty to, evading arrest, and assault on a public official, which she pleaded to a lesser charge. Moreno's neighbor, who didn't want to be identified, said she filed a restraining order against her in November.
4 years I've been through hell. I have reported this, and it's gone on deaf ears. Nobody should have died. Nobody should have been hurt. This should have been handled years ago.
Police adding in 2016, authorities placed Moreno under an emergency detention order.
We do believe that she does have a mental health history that is documented through us and through interviews with family members.
The shooting Sunday came minutes before the megachurch's Spanish service, where one member was wounded but is expected to make a full recovery.
We're devastated. I mean, we've been here 65 years and have somebody shooting in your church. But, you know, we don't understand why these things happen, but we know God's in control.
So, Morgan, are officials looking into this as a possible hate crime?
Lester, officials say it is still too early to share any official motive, but they have not ruled out a hate crime or even terrorism as motivating causes. In the meantime, despite the suspect making a bomb threat, even owning ingredients to make a bomb, tonight authorities are making it very clear no explosive has been recovered and no one is at risk of any contamination or exposure from a chemical or one of those bomb-making materials. Lester?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Yeah, no one's doing that. No thanks. But now you have a little bit of an overview. I don't know, guys. It seems perfectly fine. Just someone from. Let me pull up the receipts here. Okay, here we go. She's from El Salvador. She's a large dating back to 2005. And how exactly did this woman get a gun? I would like to know. If someone could tell me how she legally purchased a gun, because it's obviously illegal. I'm looking into more details here, but we're not getting a lot. I mean, here's a local KHOUW.
Now at 5 o'clock, we have new video inside Lakewood Church during yesterday's deadly shooting.
What we are learning about the shooter, the victims, and the investigation.
Also tonight, new details about the shooting at Lakewood Church yesterday afternoon that left an armed woman dead and her young child fighting for his life.
Police say a Conroe woman was shot and killed after walking into Lakewood Church with her son and opening fire.
Today, police confirming the identity of the shooter as Genesee Yvonne Moreno, and the child who was shot was her 7-year-old son. Police say Moreno opened fire in the west side hallway of the church before being killed by 2 off-duty officers.
Our KHOU 11 news crews have been...
So she killed her. You heard them before, right? They're not immediately willing to rush to a hate crime, but that's where it's gonna end up, because we have every single blueprint of like how this is like the archetype of what we can get like a right winger to hate, like a migrant who's with a free Palestine sticker on her fucking rifle. There's more to this. There's more to this too, because it keeps changing, and this is still relatively new. So like, I mean, obviously we're still finding out more details, but if this ends up being, I mean, you heard them. They were already like, no, we're ready. This might be terrorism. Apparently, she had ways to make. She had ingredients to make a bomb. Now, do you see where this is going? Oh man, I wish I prepared this before, but I was gonna pull up something that Trump said, but let's watch the Houston mayor himself, speak on this. And you tell me, you read his facial expressions, you tell me how this goes.
To report on a tragedy that occurred just before 2 o'clock at Lakewood Church as they were in between services. I'll leave the details of the first responders reaction in a timely fashion to the Chiefs Fenner and Chief Pena. I want Houstonians and surrounding communities to know that the first responders are doing their job in protecting the public, Houstonians, and surrounding communities. I also want everyone to know that this is a perfect example of the collaboration between departments. It's exactly what we've been calling for. HPD, constables. I could just go through a list of multiple agencies representing their agencies in a very responsive way. We want to
where was the records dating back to 2005 when you were selling this woman a gun? That'd be nice to know.
Condolences to Reverend Osteen and his congregation. It's unfortunate on a day that we want to attend.
Joel Osteen, does that ring any alarm bells yet? Joel Osteen's church?
Watch America's #1 sports event. We find ourselves gathered here to respond to this tragedy. We want Houstonians to know that they are being protected by their first responders. We want to thank the Houston Fire Department for their quick response, the medical profession who is tending to one of the injured. So, as mayor of the city of Houston, I want to assure everyone that everyone.
So Orca, one of the only people that she killed was her own kid, her own 7-year-old kid. That's a hate crime? Okay.
Is at work doing their job. Let's come together on this beautiful day, a day that we're experiencing a tragedy. Let's hug our loved ones. When you leave here today, go hug your loved ones and say a prayer for those that are involved. Say a prayer for those officers that had to drop this suspect. They're suffering right now. And all these other first responders that I'm surrounded by, they're doing their job so we can be safe. At this time, let me yield to our police chief, Troy Fenner.
Thank you, Mayor. Like the mayor said, and I think the most important message, before I get into details, is talk about the resiliency of our great city. And we worship together, we cry together, but we rebuild together. This is a tragic day, but you watch how we stand together. No suspect, or suspects, will tear down our...
So let me get this straight. No one is going to ask why she was sold a gun with a criminal record. Not even that, a migrant with a criminal record. Where's the press?
Our city and our places of worship. Pastor Osteen is standing with us and all of our partners. And I want to thank them all, our local, our state, our federal partners. I just want to give some detail here, but pray for everybody that's involved. The victims who I'll discuss here and the unsaid victims. Those individuals that came here to worship today and had to witness this. But rest assured, in this city, we're going to stand strong and we're going to move forward. So approximately at 1:53 p.m., a female, approximately 30, 35 years old, entered the property on the west side here in the parking lot of Lakewood Church. She entered the building. She was armed with a long rifle and a trench coat with a backpack, accompanied by a small child, approximately 4 to 5 years old. Once she entered, at some point she began to fire. I want to compliment the off-duty officers who were working extra employment here. One TABC agent, 4 years of service, 38 years old. An HPD off-duty officer, 28 years old, 2 years of service. Both officers, officer and agent, engaged, striking the female. She's deceased here on the scene. Unfortunately, the 5-year-old kid was hit and is in critical condition at our local hospital. That was a 57-year-old man who didn't have anything to do with it, I don't think. Was shot in the leg. He's seeking treatment in the hospital. So let's all pray for each and every one of them. Once she went down, officers reported back to us that she threatened, that she had a bomb. So we searched her vehicle, our bomb squad.
Okay, who said that? Do you see how easy it could be just like implanted in, especially the Houston police? We just had if someone can remind me of the other Texas shooting that happened last year, that was also really fishy because the cops never showed. Uvalde, fucking Texas, man. You don't think they're paid off? Dude. To throw like a little curveball, I wouldn't doubt it. I really wouldn't.
And also the backpack. No explosives were found, but she was also spraying some type of substance on the ground. So HFD came, and our chief will speak briefly on that. But again, we're going to stand strong. Again, I want to commend those officers. She had a long gun, and it could have been a lot worse. But they stepped up and they did their job. And I want to thank them for that. As you know, when an officer's involved in the shooting, we conducted a criminal investigation, Harris County District Attorney's Office, and also both agencies conduct administrative investigations. That will take place. Both of these officers the officer and the agent will be placed on administrative duty. But again, let's pray for everybody. And we stand strong here in Houston. I'll pass it on right now. Let me say this too. Places of worship. That's what they are. And that's what they will remain in our city. So it's just an opportunity for us to refocus and make sure that we all look out for one another. There will be increased patrols and a lot of conversation in our command posts with our federal partners and our local partners. But we're going to increase those patrols in and around those religious institutions. And it doesn't matter which faith. We love everybody here in our city, and everybody's important.
Why at a church? A Christian church?
So let me pass it on to Fire Chief Pena.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Mayor. First of all, let me thank all the agencies that are here with us. This is really a team effort, and our prayers are with, and our positive thoughts are with the injured and with the officers that engaged this suspect. It's traumatic not only for our community, but it's certainly traumatic for the officers who've had to take a life, and we worry about their mental health as well. So our prayers are with them, and we're going to give them whatever support they need to ensure that they are able to manage through this incident safely. Kudos to the first responders. The Houston Fire Department, Police Department was here within minutes. We are now dealing with consequence management of this incident. Now that the threat has been neutralized, we are going to take our time to ensure that any issues, any risks that we see.
There was a lot going on here. There was just a whole lot going on here that just didn't seem to. So there was even a live broadcast happening.
Con diagonal 2024. Repito. Junto con diagonal.
A little bit more footage. So no sound, but so we obviously need to know a lot more. Transgender too. That's another pin in the coffin for the right wing. Do you understand how this was perfectly crafted? Like this was like a character made by the FBI. It's literally like a create your own false flag. It's like if I worked in the FBI and tried making my own appeal to the right, because I feel like there is an understanding that there's a shift in power going on, and that liberals, aka the Democratic Party, are not like super into the whole Israel thing, but it would be incredible if I lost my train of thought there, but you can hear it here.
Good afternoon. My name is.
If this was real, that'd be like. We deserve better psyops. We really do. I've always been saying this though. Why do we need to do this? And so now, do you understand why now it's important to screen cap headlines? Always screen cap headlines because they can change in a matter of hours. Look at this. Free Palestine written on a gun in shooting in Lakewood Church, but motive a mystery. So, as opposed to Lakewood shooting, then it becomes a sticker with anti-Semitic writings recovered. So this is important. Writing it on the rifle itself. I don't know how you would do that. Depending on what, like lead or whatever you're deciding to. I guess chalk, marker, whatever it is. A sticker can be very easily placed. And is way more easier to slip in last minute than it is to write anti-Semitic statements. But no one should take any of this seriously. I don't think any of this is real. This smells of like a completely manufactured story from the dark. This sniffs of every single like false flag that you could possibly imagine. And I'm not gonna make certain statements, especially not on YouTube. And I'm not going Sandy Hook level where, like I'm not saying it never happened. I'm just saying it's very easy to get people, especially if you're the FBI, and especially if you have a criminal record and fines over your head, and they can make these people do anything like that, and they don't care because they're getting out of, either a jail sentence or possibly even death. Who knows? This is a migrant. Well, technically, I mean, they're here. They've been here, but he's from El Salvador with a huge criminal record. So why Joel Osteen's church? I don't really know, but here's him speaking on it.
Well, first off, thank Chief and the mayor and Chief Pena and all of these men and women did an amazing job. And it's just, you said it, Chief, it could have been a lot worse. Of course, we're devastated. I mean, we've been here 65 years and have somebody shooting in your church. But, we don't understand why these things happen, but we know God's in control. And we're going to pray for that little 5-year-old boy and pray for the lady that was deceased, her family and all, and the other gentleman. But I don't know, it's just kind of in a fog, but just believe that we're going to stay strong. We're going to continue to move.
Now let me ask you guys a question. I'm going to start from the beginning real quick. Now I'm going to play this without sound. Does this look like a man who just experienced a mass shooting in his church? Look at his facial expressions and look at the way that his mouth moves. Does this look like a man who just had a shooting in his church? He's so spirited by God. He just has the holy love of Christ in him, right?
The forces of God are stronger than that. Yes. So we're going to keep going strong and just, doing what God's called us to do, lift people up and give hope to the world. Again, I want to thank all these gentlemen because, I can only imagine if it would have happened during the 11 o'clock service. We were in between services going into the Spanish service. So, if there's anything good of it, you know what? She didn't get in there and do a whole lot worse damage. So we thank God for that. He's watching over all of us. And as the chief says, we're going to keep going strong and bringing hope to the world. But thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you, Pastor.
And I mean, if you're looking for a motive, if you're looking for an Israel connection, it's not hard to find.
At your office, and we love you. We appreciate you, and
really
thank you for all that you do.
Well, thank you, and it's good to.
This is only a year ago. So you're telling me this man, it's not even as far as a year. It goes farther than that. Osteen has his roots back to a trip back from in 2011. This is what Christian Zionism does to you. It's a brain infection. It's actually sort of a death cult. So, like, what they actually believe, like the super, Orthodox Christians, like they believe that, like, literally the Jews have to go to Bethlehem and go like die in like a massive apocalypse and then like the second coming of Christ. They literally believe in like Armageddon. It's a death cult, just straight up death cult. They believe in Armageddon. That's their whole ideology. And I mean that's so really. Let me ask you guys a question: if she supposedly had this right Free Palestine sticker on her rifle, right? Why would she be shooting up a Christian church? If this was an anti-Semitic or like a racist charged attack, then where is the evidence for that? It would be nice to know. This whole situation is really confusing, man. I can't imagine a more manufactured story. That's what I'm saying. Like it feels so fake that your alarm bells start to go off and just Israel being the genocidal terrorist state that it is genuinely has a large history of false flags. I don't have to name them, a lot of them for you. I mean, 9/11 just one of them, but U.S. is slow. There's plenty of examples to point out of a long history of Israel's false flags. And like from that religious aspect, it doesn't make any sense at all for Muslims and Christians to like, let's say like this was in the like defense of like Islam or something. It doesn't really make much sense. So like the reason why Muslims and Christians tend to are actually tend to be closer together because like A they don't kill each other, and B Jesus Christ is actually the most quoted prophet in the Quran, and he's like very heavily respected. They just don't believe in like the whole like resurrection thing, and like or no, I think they do, but they don't believe like he's like literally the Son of Christ. It's a hard complication to explain, but this is kind of why. This is kind of you'll hear it here.
The greatest danger in the world is if Esav and Yishmael ever came together, if they ever united. Says the Gra, if Edom and Yishmael ever united, they would destroy the world. You can never mix Cain and Hevel together. When Cain and Hevel come together, they destroy the world. Esav is Cain and Yishmael is Hevel.
This is why the Jewish lobby needs to buy out the evangelical Christians, because you buy the right wing and then you buy all
times in history, Edom and Yishmael get together, and those were the two most dangerous moments in the collective history of the Jewish people. So that is why the Rebbe Shalom does us a big favor. He makes sure that Ad Hayom, Edom and Yishmael never get together. And that's why we wish both of these ummahs in their war against each other, bracha v'hatzlacha. My message to both of them is we wish both of them tremendous hatzlacha. They should wipe each other out. No, none of them should be saved. Both sides should mamish be matzliach as much as possible. We wish both sides tremendous hatzlacha in their avodah of wiping out the other party.
Yeah. It gets kind of bad like that. So like the reason why it's specifically the Torah is usually good. It's the Talmud where they really kind of get, and I don't have to even like pull up the videos of like them like spitting on Christians or whatever. It's just like a very like toxic like environment. I don't understand like why we need to like plenty of these religions coexisted peacefully for many, many thousands of years. And I don't know why people seem to really they have a trigger in the name of God. That's they believe in some sort of like pure ethno state. It's a sort of you are just a simple goyim. We're all just goyim, or unless you're Jewish, then you're blood libel. You're still anti-Semitic, even if you're Jewish. If you're watching this right now, you're probably anti-Semitic, even if you're Jewish. That's why I'm saying, fair warning. We can get back into it a little bit more with what the latest with Israel is right now. Obviously last week one was really pretty terrible. I'll get into that. But one thing that kind of flew under the radar, which I thought that more people would have alarm bells coming up, but new Jeffrey Epstein autopsy photo proves that he didn't kill himself. And Mark Epstein, he's been arguing this for years, that his brother didn't kill himself, and now we're having new autopsy photos confirm that. How much more do we remember the Epstein files earlier in like 2023? And no one, it was like nothing. It was all shit that we already know. You know what came out of that? Stephen Hawking memes. That's it. That's all we got. And here's another one that I thought was pretty interesting too. If you think if you believe this, you're anti-Semitic. All right. So Jerusalem Post, they just confirmed Jewish space leaders. They're literally playing into the trope. They're like literally like, I don't know how. Maybe it's like part of like the victim complex, but like it's like if you need any more proof that Israel fuels anti-Semitism, it's this. Confirmed Jewish lasers to beat Hezbollah. Syria's about to go to war, by the way. They just confirmed it. But here's another little vine that I found over the weekend. I've been doing a couple over deep searches, watched some other schizo shit. This is Israeli bioconvergence, and I'm saying it seems like to me that we live in like sort of like a permanent dichotomy between like no matter what, I feel like Israel sort of like stands through at the end, unless they're like defeated militarily and cease to exist. I think they sort of like play both sides. So this is really coming either way, whether it's like Eastern or like you could see like a lot of like the Chinese engineers and the Russian engineers being into this, because they're pretty like go forward with the high tech stuff. They're not really afraid of like the human culture consequences, which I feel like is one of the benefits of the West probably, is that like we're more like cautious about like keeping it traditional. But like this is really bioconvergence. If this doesn't scare the shit out of you, I don't know what to tell you anymore.
All fields of medicine are changing, improving, renewing. The past year showed us that the growing need for innovative technologies used in developing more precise, personalized medicines and treatments is already becoming reality. Among the leaders of this revolution is Israel.
The Israeli high-tech environment is one of the leading environments or ecosystems that can enable this.
We have some of the best scientists in the world.
People think outside the box and look for creative solutions to problems. Yes, Israel is an international center of innovation with groundbreaking technologies in health, in cyber, in smart transportation, and alternative energy. Israeli innovation in the field of personalized medicine combines biology and engineering. It's called bioconvergence. What exactly is bioconvergence?
Biomics is the only clinical stage phage company out there that targets chronic indication. We deploy phage, which are viruses that infect specific bacteria.
NanoRetina developed a small camera that is implanted inside a patient's eye. Our technology translates light and optical signals into electrical pulses that enables vision to the patient.
The technology that we have developed is under the title bioconvergence.
We have chemistry, engineering, biology, immunology.
SciBio biofabricates tissues from human cells. We take 3D printing and we combine this together with the biology, which essentially brings us the capability to fabricate the tissue in the same anatomical structure as it is in the human body.
And this is just...
Are you guys ready for 3D printed limbs? Like, are you ready for eye extension, for lasers in your eye?
Just the tip of the iceberg. Because when you're able to
the finger chip, it's right there.
Collaborate with multidisciplinary capabilities like ICT, big data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, then you can create integrative, creative, and innovative medical solutions.
Do you see how many industries this is? This is a lot of money. They're already doing this. So Israel and Gaza, they're a lot like the template for the rest of the world. Because Israel, they do this to their own population too. They're very heavily surveilled. So is Gaza way more, obviously. But Gaza in warfare is actually where they test a lot of this AI shit, which they plan to use. The same with the surveillance technology, which they all plan to use to incorporate into this. But fucking crazy. These are some fucking insane people, and I don't know. I don't think we can survive unless we kill. We need to destroy Silicon Valley. This can't happen anymore. We cannot go this far, guys. Please tell me we're not going to go this far.
The Israel Innovation Authority creates national and international networks and provide with funding to initiate projects.
Many of Israel's startup nation streams parallel Jefferson streams. Because of Israel's exceptional innovation ecosystem, we've developed a series of creative partnerships across a spectrum of Israeli institutions.
So let me ask you a question. If Israel is at the forefront of bioconvergence, with the world's most advanced technologies and some of the world's leading medical research centers, and when $40 billion worth of worldwide profits from medicine stem from Israeli inventions, can you afford not to be here?
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks. I think that's okay. This is going to be the mother psyops of all. Like, you're going to have to expect like a COVID 2.0. I hope you know that. Right. And just for like a little bit of like expectation of like what's coming. This was something I wanted to reference earlier before. Where like, if we're really trying to analyze like where, I think this year is going to be crazy. I really believe that we're going to be presented with some really big psyop this year. Just expect something to happen. This is something that caught my eye, and this is something I wanted to reference in terms of like the last segment with the Lakewood shooter. It seems especially remember like that there was a couple weeks ago where they had like it might have been in Canada or somewhere up north where like a car like did like a flip and like exploded in the air, and they tried saying they found like an Iranian passport next to it. Like, we are getting fed this like 2003 stream of propaganda, and it's insane. Because like it's so obvious and dumb that it's like you have to purposely turn off your brain in order to try to even understand it. This is something that's concerning me because look at what Trump is saying, and this is your next president, guys. Look at what Trump is saying.
% chance of a major
and these include terrorists. You know, you have a 100% chance of a major terror attack in the not-too-distant future. It's a terrible thing to say. I went 4 years with no terror attack. And I believe we're going to have a terrorist attack 100%. 100%. You know, during my term, I had no terrorist attacks. You know that, right?
So there'll be saboteurs? What are they?
I had all sorts of bans on people from certain countries. I had bans all over the place. And there's a 100% chance that there will be a major terrorist attack in the United States, or many attacks maybe. And it's all because of what's happened over the last 3 years.
Can someone explain to me why is he saying this? What's the purpose of saying? Why else would Trump be saying there's a 100% chance of a terrorist attack in the United States? We are getting fed these false flags left and right. Do you see it? Is it just me? It feels like they're really trying hard to push something. But I could be schizo. Let's hear this again.
And these include terrorists. You know, you have a 100% chance of a major terror attack in the not-too-distant future. It's a terrible thing to say. I went 4 years with no terror attack. And I believe we're going to have a terrorist attack 100%. 100%. You know, during my term, I had no terrorist attacks. You know that, right?
So there'll be saboteurs? What are they?
I had all sorts of bans on people from certain countries. I had bans all over the place. And there's a 100% chance that there will be a major terrorist attack in the United States, or many attacks maybe. And it's all because of what's happened over the last 3 years.
Is no one else pointing this out? Why is he saying this? I would really like to know why he's saying that. Because that doesn't seem like a normal thing for you to say a lot. Like 3 times. This man's torn to be president, and he's saying, oh, there's going to be a terrorist attack happening. What the fuck? What the actual hell is going on? So, we had some mishaps happen last night. Obviously, it was Super Bowl Sunday. I don't know if a lot of you even watch football or care, because I mean, the NFL is rigged anyway. I don't think you should. But I'm going to start off with the Super Bowl commercial that you might have seen. Maybe you haven't. But absolutely, completely brazen and disgusting. Kind of crazy, actually. They played this last night.
To all the dads, the funny ones, the silly ones, the strong ones, the adventurous ones, to all the dads held in captivity by Hamas for over 120 days, we vow to bring you home.
In body bags. Because they bomb them. They already killed 30 of them. So, yeah, I guess they're going to do what they want to do. I don't have to introduce you to the Hannibal Directive. Just Google the Hannibal Directive. This is Israeli policy to kill their own people. So, that wasn't the only one. Because, I mean, Robert Kraft, he actually paid like $7 million for like this like stop anti-Semitism thing. Here's another one that they played. Now, imagine this. Doesn't this seem like something that the Nazis, like, imagine if this was the Holocaust and this was like Nazi propaganda. Like, wouldn't this exactly be what Nazi propaganda is? Like, if this was the Holocaust? Imagine this. 136. That's a lie. That's just a lie. There's not even 136 people left. There's 106 people left, approximately. We don't even know that. That's what the Israeli ministry is saying. They're saying there's 106 people left. But for the Super Bowl ad, they'll tell you it's 136. Just because it's a little bit of a higher number. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like a little fudge of numbers a little bit. Kind of like that other number, like the one that starts with a 6. You know that one. But it is completely fucking brazen. Let me finish this actually. Shit literally looks like Nazi propaganda, dude. It literally looks like Nazi propaganda. Dude, like these cheap ass Zios, I wanted to mastermind. Thanks for pointing this out. Like I could make these. This is not very hard at all. It's basically like a PowerPoint. The Israeli propaganda is so it's so terrible. They can't even get like the correct. I don't know what it is. I thought they were tech people, but they just seem to be really terrible at scheduling. I don't know. You want to see another one that aired? Yeah. Oh, by the way, as just a big fuck you to Christians. So if you're Christian out there, just like here's a big Super Bowl ad, a nice Super Bowl ad for you.
Don't ask me what you know is true. Don't have to tell you. I love your precious heart. I was standing. You were there. Two worlds collided, and they could never tear us apart. We can live for 1,000 years.
Yeah. Really terrible stuff. Really fucking awful stuff. Yeah, so Jesus didn't wash feet, by the way. He blessed feet. This is how the white. So we really had a terrible night last night. By the way, subscribe. Make sure you guys follow Hotspot. Go on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I am unshamelessly affiliated with them. I work for them now, so I'm gonna pump it out.
Israel conducted a wave of attacks on Gaza's town of Rafah that has become the last refuge for 1.4 million Palestinians. They are now preparing for a possible Israeli ground offensive, as Israel's threats of a full-scale attack haven't yet been realized. The strike on the town was justified as a diversion to rescue 2 hostages.
But we've so far succeeded, and we're going to succeed again. Those who say that under no circumstances should we enter Rafah are basically saying, lose the...
Israeli actions are driving an ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians from their land. Even its ally, the U.S., has criticized Israel, calling it over the top.
Which isn't serious at all.
The conduct of the response in Gaza, in the Gaza Strip, has been over the top.
He's reading a script. You know that, right? Everyone.
Egyptian officials told Israel that pushing 1.4 million refugees to their land could put the peace agreement at risk. There's a genocide happening right in front of our eyes, but no one is doing anything about it.
Crazy, man. Literally having a fucking field day. It's a Rafah crossing. This is at the border so that they can block food. They want this is how Israelis react. This is how they're protesting starving children. Can you imagine what would be a worse cause? Maybe you could be like Vosh and you could be like advocating for horse porn or something. I can't tell what's worse. Vosh or starving children. Probably starving children. They're having a rave about it. They're literally raving about it now. So now you understand why all those people at the Nova concert that they keep talking about, where from October 7th at the very beginning, how all those people they're perfectly comfortable with dancing, and as a genocide is literally occurring right across the fence. Now you can see why they can have like a Nova concert right next to the Gaza Strip, where there's people literally like in the worst humanitarian disaster in the entire world. It's crazy. This reminds me of Disco Elysium a little bit. Truly some dystopian end of the world shit. Really crazy. This fucking guy jumping, he's on drugs. You don't think that old man's not on drugs? You don't think this guy's on some... They're all on Molly and they have guns. It's terrible. It's really awful. Hard to watch this shit sometimes, man. But to make it clear, this is the very last refuge. There's no other refugee camp to go to. This is it. This is the final push because ideally, Israel would just like to push all the Gazans back into probably into Egypt and Jordan. They push them right. They want to, but obviously Egypt is not going to accept 1.4 million Palestinians because they already have a bunch of like Syrians and like other refugees, and they have a crisis as it is. They literally have like tents outside. They can't. They're at full capacity as it is. Plus, you want to just get rid of Gaza, like that. Just so they're based. That would basically just like a handover to Gaza. But let me pull something up. Something that made me really sick. Hold on. Where did I see it? Okay, I just won't play it. Let's find out where we're at now. Here's a little bit of the reactions from the White House today. No, I'll skip this one. But as this is happening, as this destruction and terror is happening, the Joe Biden team, they got on TikTok. They got on TikTok and they decided to post this. Just like we drew it up. Literally as a giant massacre is happening. Hundreds of Palestinians dying. You could tell how bad this is. Damn. This happened last night. All of this. And the Biden admin team thinks it's appropriate at that time to post the Dark Brandon meme. Truly is Dark Brandon. Playing into the character literally perfectly. So the reason why they did this, right, is in order to save 2 hostages, supposedly 2 hostages. And it turns out that the 2 hostages that they claimed that they were going, that they did that to go to justify it. It turns out they were already saved. According to the Cradle, they were released on December 2nd. Do you see how easy it is to see through it? They're just so obvious about it. It's careless. It's kind of insulting, actually. Like, they really think that we're so that fucking dense and stupid that we're gonna really buy into shit like that? It's crazy, man. So we have Biden coming up again. So now they're all making the rounds. They're going all to the Arab leaders and saying, you know, ignore what's happening. You know, what's going on is fine. You'll keep your mouth shut and you won't do anything. So Biden took a trip to Jordan and it didn't go. It never goes well, but it's just funny to look at.
Let me start by welcoming His Majesty, the
This is where we're at.
King of Jordan. He's been a good friend. Abdul, welcome back to the White House, man. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
And by the way, Barack's looking at you in the corner over there. Along with Queen Rihanna.
What is he doing? What are you doing?
Is meeting with Jill now and the Queen and the Crown Prince Hussein. Where is the
Crown Prince Solomon?
I thought he was coming out. Anyway,
Your
Majesty, over to you.
What is happening?
Mr. Sorry.
He's a little shuffle. What is that?
President.
You were off cue? No questions. Not for this president. You know, he has the least amount of interviews in the last 4 years. Trump at this point, he had like 300 interviews. You know how many Biden had? 84. 84. It's the closet strategy, part 2. But when asked, the State Department. So, you know, you guys are saying, you know, you apparently he's calling Netanyahu an asshole. Apparently, he said that, you know, the strikes are over the top, right? So what exactly is the United States doing in order to, you know, effectively hold Israel accountable? Let's watch.
So you're still ruling out cutting of any aid?
I am not ruling anything out. I'm saying we have not made the assessment that is a decision, or that is a step that would be more impactful than the steps that we have already taken. And at the same time, you have to look at the fact that such a step, how such a step would be received by Israel's opponents, both inside Gaza and outside of the state of Israel.
So Matt, can you just say what levers have you used?
So we have used diplomatic levers. The secretary
that means that means the secretary and the president and you and Kirby and whoever else standing up and saying, wagging your finger and saying that that's not really leverage.
We have engaged with them on at a multitude of levels at this administration, and as you look at the list that we just went through with Humera, we have seen them take steps at our urging that have had real tangible impact, but they have not been enough.
It's always this vague nonsense, and then they concede. Oh, it has been enough. We slapped them on the wrist a little bit. We wagged our finger and we said, no, Israel. No, don't you commit genocide. Don't you do that.
But what levers have you actually?
I think that when the United States of America stands up and says something publicly, it matters.
But you haven't.
That's a lever,
but you haven't said that there would be any consequences.
That's all we can do. You understand now? We can't stop Israel. I mean, we can't stop giving Israel money. That's off the table. What we can do is say, hey, can you cool it down a little bit? And they're not listening. So, no, Jeremiah, you know what? It's not even a timeout. It's barely even that. It's more like a short lecture. This is like, so the relationship of the United States to Israel is basically like a small, like tantrum child that is like constantly tearing shit up and crying and yelling at you and treats you like shit. And like, it's kind of like that neglectful parent that's like, yeah, just I'm sorry, that's little Billy. He's, who yaks up sometimes. And clearly this kid is not raised right, or clearly this kid is not, correctly behaving and doesn't have proper rearing. That's what Israel is. It's like a child of an alcoholic parent, basically.
To
my point, we have seen
money or military assistance, right?
But we have seen, because of the policies we have pursued, we have seen improvements along these specific areas.
Where?
Okay,
we have seen tangible improvements. Again,
okay, but
not
I'm just asking you what leverage have you used? What leverage have you brought to bear?
I just went through it.
What have you gone?
I think the words of the President of the United States, the words of the Secretary of State matter, and we have seen. Hold on, we have
over the top,
and we have seen
leverage,
and we have seen the government of Israel respond to it. Not always in the way that we want. Not always.
You see how fucking pathetic that is? We're the United States. So apparently our words matter, right? But at the same time, they don't. Because they could just choose not to listen to us.
What leverage have you brought to bear?
I just went through it.
What have you gone?
I think the words of the President of the United States, the words of the Secretary of State matter, and we have seen. Hold on, we have
over the top,
and we have seen
leverage,
and we have seen the government of Israel respond to it. Not always in the way that we want, not always to the degree that we want or to the level that we want, but our interventions, we believe, have had an impact, and we will continue to pursue them because we.
Okay.
Yeah, just a couple hundred less people. That's it. This is fully sponsored by the United States. There's no going back at this point. After Rafah, there's no going back. And this is what John Kirby has to say about what happened last night.
And on Rafah, has the president ever threatened to strip military assistance from Israel if they move ahead with a Rafah operation that does not?
Never. That's never going to happen. Once the capital crumbles, it's just like Nancy Pelosi said, we will be funding Israel until the capital crumbles to the ground.
Take into consequence what happens with civilians.
We're going to continue to support Israel. They have a right to defend themselves against Hamas, and we're going to continue to make sure they have the tools and the capabilities to do that.
so like callous, completely callous. It's bonkers, man. It's truly bonkers. But I don't really. I mean, you know, I usually have to prepare. I'm pretty busy. I usually have to prepare more content for shit like this. But I went a little bit over an hour, so that's fine for now. I'm gonna close out here, and you know, I'm gonna again remind you guys to subscribe to inn.network. Subscribe to my channel, Mad Crab, if you want, for some other stuff I make. I'm also on TikTok too, Big Mac Crab. But get all those links there, as well as Hotspot, of course, as well. Doing hard work over there. And I'll close it out here with this Inigo video from today, just because it's like a good summary, and I'll close out here. All right, but hopefully that was a good summary over the weekend. All right, have a good night, folks.
While 100 million people were watching the Super Bowl, Israel used it as an opportunity to bombard Rafah while everyone was distracted and enjoying themselves. At least 67 Palestinians were killed in the attack. Now, some of you may be thinking, that name Rafah sounds weirdly familiar. That's because Rafah was supposed to be a safe zone. That's because thousands and thousands of Palestinians have gathered in Rafah, South Gaza, by the Rafah crossing to receive aid. And while you have Israelis blocking the aid from reaching the Palestinian families who need it, you simultaneously have Israeli military shooting Palestinians like fish in a barrel in what was supposed to be a safe zone. Oh, and Israel was very deliberate and very explicit about their intent to use the Super Bowl to cover for yet another war crime. Here you can see in this tweet that they're once again trying to pretend like their genocide in Gaza is really about, you know, the 136 hostages. They even aired a Super Bowl ad, once again making mention of the 136 hostages, as if that makes it okay to genocide tens of thousands of people, including women and children. I'm not gonna lie to you people. I find it funny that they keep bringing up this 136 hostages nonsense. I'm gonna tell you why. See, they're doing it because they want to make you think that their genocide is about the hostages. But what they failed to mention is the fact that Hamas tried to initiate a 100% hostage exchange months ago, and Israel refused. See, what they failed to mention is that by Israel's own sources, there aren't 136 hostages even left. It's closer to 106 because Israel's bombardment have killed 30 of the hostages. They pretend it's about the hostages, but they forget to mention in their ad that they killed 3 Israeli hostages themselves while they were waving white flags. They sniped them down, cold blood. They pretend it's about the hostages, but they forget to mention that they gassed one of their own soldiers. And when the mob came out and tried to expose them, they took the name off the gravestone of the soldier that they killed and chastised the mom, trying to silence her. They pretend the genocide is about the hostages, yet they forget to mention their own Hannibal directive in that ad. The Hannibal directive that specifically dictates that Israel kills its own hostages. And finally, they don't even realize that they're accidentally justifying what happened on October 7th by trying to use hostages to justify genocide. Because before October 7th, they had thousands of Palestinian civilians held hostage without charge. So by Israel's own piss poor logic, what happened on October 7th, well, Israel deserved it, according to Israel's own logic. Which means this genocide isn't actually justified because, well, Israel said as long as you got hostages, the other country whose hostages you're holding, they can do whatever they want without penalty. But at the end of the day, it can be withholding aid, it can be committing genocide, it can be a blockade, it can be kettling women and children into an area that you call a safe zone and then shooting them like fish in a barrel. They're going to use whatever excuse they can to justify being absolute monsters. And I really hope that no one fell for that bullshit during the Super Bowl, because they're not the victims. Those Palestinians are. And we can't forget that.